currently in the town of La Granja de San Ildefonso, which is just north of Madrid in Spain. And it's about an hour away from Madrid, so it's a great place to come for a day trip because there's lots of things to do here, lots of culture to see. So I've actually never been here, even though I've lived in Madrid my whole life. So I thought I'd come here, explore the town a little bit, and also show you around. Here, by the way, my name is Laura, and I've spent the past few years traveling all over the world to places like Kenya and Tanzania, also Pakistan, France, Switzerland, and I thought I'd vlog a little bit of Spain for you today, so let's go back into the video. Lying some 80 kilometers from Madrid and only 10 kilometers from Segovia, La Granja de San Ildefonso is in a stunning natural setting, and it has a super rich cultural and historical heritage. The name La Granja de San Ildefonso actually translates to San Ildefonso's farm, and this is because it used to be a farm. It was a farm run by the Order of St. Jerome before it was purchased by the King Felipe V, which was from the Bourbon dynasty. And today, this town is known for three main things: the Royal Palace, the Royal Gardens, and the Royal Glass Factory, also known as the Real Fábrica de Cristales de la Granja. And that is where we're going first. So a little bit of history about the Royal Glass Factory. So this place was founded in the 18th century by the Bourbon dynasty, which is the Spanish royal family, and it was part of a larger project to promote national industry within Spain, and particularly industry and the manufacture of luxury goods within the country. The royal family poured a lot of money into the creation of this factory and also similar factories all over the country, as well as their maintenance and continuously ensuring that the products created here were of the highest quality. They really wanted to ensure that they had luxury goods produced at home so that they wouldn't have to import them from other European countries. And one of the reasons this was very, very important to them was that the Spanish royal family wanted to be seen as the richest and most powerful royal family in Europe. So it had to compete with other royal houses across the continent and have the best palaces and the best decoration and the best gardens. So it was really a matter of keeping up with the Jonases and maintaining appearances. But ultimately, a problem they had was that to maintain those appearances, before the creation of these factories, they had to import everything from other European countries, from France, from Germany, from Austria, and that was incredibly expensive, which is why they started producing it at home with places such as the Royal Glass Factory. And the really cool thing about the Royal Glass Factory is that you can still visit it today, and the methods of making glass that they use today are the same methods that they used way back in the 18th century. So they still make glass in the same way, and you can see it with your own eyes. When you first enter the museum, after you buy your ticket, you will see kind of an exposition. So there's lots of expositions and art galleries where you can see all of the art, all of the things that are made from glass in this factory, which, by the way, this is one of the only places in the world that still uses these techniques to make glass. So this is something truly unique. And you can walk around and see absolutely everything. And you can also buy some of the things here. So I want you to guess how much this piece costs. So this is purely for decoration. It's not functional at all. So let me know in the comments what you think, like how much money you think this costs. And I'll tell you right now. So 3, 2, 1. This is 2,693 euros. So let me know, do you think it's worth it? Like, would you pay this much for this piece? Let's continue this little game. How much do you think this is worth? Okay, so leave your answer in the comments. 3, 2, 1. This is 2,700 euro. I also loved a section where you could see lots and lots and lots of perfume bottles, and I think these are so pretty. I absolutely love seeing them. And there's also a very large section of the museum where you can see all of the different machinery, all of the traditional machinery that they used, and where you can learn a lot about the history of this place, but also the different techniques that they used. And speaking of techniques, the main technique that they use to make all of this glass is something called soplado, or blowing, so like blowing glass. And this is not the only technique that they use, but it is their main one and it is their specialty. So basically the way they do this is they have molten glass in an oven at 1,100 degrees Celsius. and they kind of grab it with a long metal stick, and this metal stick is hollow in the inside. So they will then blow inside the stick towards the glass. So they blow inside the glass and they make a bubble in the molten glass, which is liquid. And then from there, they kind of twist and turn it, and they use metal prongs and things to kind of pull it. And because the glass is basically liquid, it's molten, it's super, super malleable. And they can turn it into whatever shape they want. And once they're there, they will add color or they will add little details or whatever before letting it to just cool off, and you get the final piece of glass from that. And like I said earlier, this is a living museum, so you can see this technique being used right here in the Royal Glass Factory, and you can see how they pick the molten glass from the oven and then craft it into a beautiful, beautiful art piece. It's also super cool to see because at first you have no idea what the artisan has in mind. You have no idea what they're trying to craft, what the end result is going to be. But then slowly it starts to take shape and you can start making guesses. And the end product is so surprising. So I actually have a couple of videos of this being done. I really encourage you to try to guess what they're trying to make. It will surprise you for sure. It will not be what you think it is. Anyways, I'll leave these videos here with some nice background music and some text so you understand what's going on, and I'll leave you to it. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed watching that just as much as I did. I know it's a bit of a long video, but I thought it was so interesting and just so incredibly cool. But another really cool thing that I learned here is that windows back in the 18th century used to be made with this technique as well. So basically, they would blow into a huge pile of glass. So they would make a huge bubble to create these structures that are kind of like, they're kind of shaped like a bottle. And they would let them cool down. And then once they were cool, they would heat them again. So they would melt once again and they would cut them through the middle. And because the glass was molten at this time, so it wasn't fully liquid, but it was very malleable, because of gravity, it would just fall down to the sides and it would fall flat and straight. So that is how they would make windows. They would then let that flat piece of glass cool down and that would be your window. And I think that is so cool. Anyways, after we left the Royal Glass Factory, we didn't buy anything. Prices were a bit too much for us. And by the way, when I say us, I mean me and my dad. I went here with my dad. He actually got married in this town, so that's another fun fact for you. But anyways, after this, we went for lunch. So we went to a place called Casa Zaga, which was my dad's recommendation. Actually, he picked this restaurant and it was so good. We had foie gras, which was absolutely delicious. And then I had steak, which again, delicious, but it was so much. I could not finish it, unfortunately. And my dad had judiones, it's a type of legume. It's kind of like beans, but not exactly. It's kind of like white beans, but bigger. He really liked it. And the only thing that I didn't like about this place was dessert. So my dad had a very local dessert called ponche segoviano, which I'd never tried before, and I loved it. But I ordered a chocolate cake, which I didn't really like. And I normally love chocolate. I'm definitely a chocolate person. I love chocolate cake, but this one just wasn't sweet enough. It tasted almost too much like chocolate without any sugar. And in my opinion, it just wasn't very good. It was honestly just too much. And after lunch, we went to the other two very important monuments in La Granja de San Ildefonso, which are the palace and the royal gardens. We left the glass factory, which was so cool. I loved visiting it. And now we're at the royal palace in La Granja de San Ildefonso. So the royal palace has these huge French gardens, which are so pretty. They have so many fountains. They're so well taken care of. So let's explore them a little bit. So like I was saying at the beginning of this video, this town, La Granja de San Ildefonso, used to be a farm and it was bought by King Felipe V of Spain. So King Felipe V was the first king of the Bourbon dynasty. And long story short, the Bourbon dynasty, it's one of many dynasties that has ruled Spain, but this one specifically is of French origin. And it's actually still the ruling dynasty in Spain. So our current king, King Felipe VI, is also from the Bourbon dynasty. But going back to King Felipe V, who is the guy who bought this place, he absolutely fell in love with La Granja de San Ildefonso when he first came, and he decided to build a palace here, which would serve as his summer residence. And he also built gardens that would remind him of home, of France, and they were modeled after the Versailles garden, which are in the Versailles Palace in the outskirts of Paris. So I didn't actually go inside the palace because I was running out of time and I really wanted to see the gardens, which were so beautiful and also huge. You can spend so much time here and still not see them all. There's 146 hectares of gardens and they're kind of built like a maze. It's called a French maze. And there's also 29 statues, 29 fountains with statues on them spread throughout the entire garden. All of the statues are made of lead, but painted with bronze paint to simulate that they were made out of bronze, like in the Palace of Versailles. And all of them have a mythological, like a classic mythology theme, classic Greek mythology, which is honestly really cool to see as well. And what I really loved about this garden in particular is the mountains in the distance. I loved being in a place that felt so polished, like it was so well taken care of. The fountains, the statues, all of the trees and the plants and the paths were so neat. But then you've got the rugged mountain in the back with the snowy peaks. And I thought that was so cool and such a cool contrast. Anyways, after this, I went back home to Madrid, but I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I think this was a really cool visit. I'd never been to this place before and I absolutely loved it. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe. I'm currently trying to grow my YouTube channel and all of these things help me out so much more than you think. And I hope to see you in my next video.